Am I the jerk for yelling at my sister-in-law to stop speaking with an accent? My older brother Noel, who is a 25-year-old man, and I, a 17-year-old female-to-male transgender person, have pretty much always lived together. Even when he moved out to go to university, I came with him. We grew up in a very rough area and lived in an absolutely decrepit house with mold on an estate that constantly had the police around. Noel, I do not even know how, somehow managed to get on an A-level course and then got into a very prestigious Russell Group university, despite not having studied a day in his life. Our mother tried to discourage him and get him to do an apprenticeship as an electrician or something of the sort, but he refused and studied fine art for 3 years. He gets work here and there, and we still live in a rough neighborhood despite his degree. We literally have a tiny 2-bedroom flat. Through work, he managed to meet his girlfriend, Nadia, a 28-year-old woman. She is one of those people who were privately educated, had life handed to them on a platter by her parents, and still thinks she needs to have a pathetic rebellion. In Nadia's case, that rebellion is getting pregnant by Noel, who her parents treat as if he is scum because he has a thick northern accent and is not middle class, and through trying her best to emulate working class women. The first time I saw her, I giggled because it was just so obvious that she was a posh girl playing pretend. She has half moved into our flat since finding out that she is pregnant, and that has made her play it up even more. She is a southerner who went to private school, but she now speaks in an awful parody of Noel's and my voice in slang. The other day, Noel and I were talking about how it was growing up back home, making the poverty we grew up in a laugh. Nadia tried to join in, her accent half slipping. I said to her that her working class act was getting old, and that she cannot relate no matter how much she tries. This made her argue back that her life actually was super hard and called me an elitist. I laughed at her and said that you cannot be elitist about poverty, which led her to rant about class in this self-righteous manner. I ended up yelling over her that she needs to stop talking in that accent and stop trying to rebel against her parents, pointing out that she is a fully grown woman. Ever since, Nadia has been mad at me, and Noel said that I should have just let her be and not criticized her because she is pregnant after all. It sounds like there's a lot of bitterness and resentment coming through, especially towards Nadia for taking your place as your brother's right hand. If money and resources are an issue, it would be better to have an adult conversation about finances and living arrangements instead of focusing on superficial complaints. Remember, your brother chose her and she's at least committing to the life by half moving in and starting a family. Everyone has their own hardships, rich or poor, and hopefully, you all can work through this together. Am I the jerk for leaving a concert without telling my partner? My boyfriend, a 26-year-old male, and I, a 23-year-old female, planned on attending a concert together. Unfortunately, he got super busy with work at the last second and said he wouldn't be able to leave with me, but would meet me during the show once his call ended. The band we planned on seeing is my favorite band, but it is not music my boyfriend listens to. He was going to go with me just to spend time together because we're in a long-distance relationship, which was super nice. I have attended concerts alone before and had no problem doing so again, but he insisted. We got into a bit of an argument before I left for the show, unrelated to the event or his work call. He said some things and acted in a way that hurt my feelings, though he said he wasn't trying to be mean or make me upset. I was crying a bit as I left for the show, but was determined not to let this affect my excitement for the band or the rest of our time together. I let him know when I arrived, and after not hearing anything for an hour, I texted him when the band only had a few songs left to play. My boyfriend said he was still on his call. The next text I got from him 45 minutes later was, "Where are you?" I was walking back to the hotel and told him so. I wanted to walk a bit and then catch a taxi since everyone was ordering cars around the venue, causing traffic. By this point, I was 1 kilometer from the venue. He said, "I'm here," meaning at the venue. I was super confused because he hadn't mentioned anything about getting ready and coming over. He then got mad because I didn't tell him the show was over or that I'd left. The plan was to meet at the venue, but since he was still working when there were only a few songs left, I assumed he wouldn't make it, which was a little disappointing, but not his fault. I think I am partially to blame because I definitely could have told him the show had ended and I was heading back. I didn't because I was still a bit hurt from earlier and wanted a little time to myself. I think my boyfriend holds more of the blame because he didn't even tell me he was done or heading over. Am I the asshole? It sounds like both parties could have handled the communication better. He should have messaged when his call was over and he was heading to the venue. Similarly, a message when the concert ended would have helped avoid confusion. Use this as a learning opportunity to improve communication in the future and move past it. Am I the jerk for telling my sister how we feel along with my partner? My sister has been dating someone for about 8 months. I have only met him a few times and he seems nice. He came to the United States on a student visa that expired over 2 years ago, and since then, he has not worked on his immigration status. In December, they came over to announce their marriage. My sister said, "We are getting married so we can get loans together, a house, and so he can get Social Security," without mentioning love or anything similar. I was shocked but happy for her, but she made no mention of involving me in the process. My sister is much closer with our other sibling and his wife, and did not show me the same respect. She spoke to them first without her partner, they are always together, and did not give me the chance to ask important questions. A couple of weeks later she texted me, asking me to be a witness, which I see as essentially vouching for someone. I declined, and only after that did my other sibling talk to her about it and suggest at least getting a prenuptial agreement to be safe. Things settled down after a week or two, and my sister asked my wife to be a bridesmaid. My wife agreed. A couple of weeks ago, my sister went dress shopping with 3 to 4 other bridesmaids, including our brother's wife, without inviting my wife, even though we lived just 20 minutes away. My wife felt hurt and sat on it for days, wondering why she was not invited. My sister said it was last minute and not all bridesmaids were there. My sister would never do that to her other sister-in-law. My wife, who has been married to me for 14 years and is the mother of my child, expressed how she felt, but my sister's response echoed our brother's wife. They are closer. You behaved properly. It sounds like your sister is making a huge mistake, and this guy is going to take advantage of her. Why would anyone want to be a witness to this facade? She'll get into a lot of trouble if she gets caught. Am I the jerk for telling my friend that another friend is excluding them on purpose? It all started when my friend Alan, a 19-year-old male, began excluding another friend, Silas, a 19-year-old male, from any meetups. Alan was upset that Silas regularly hung out with another group that had a history with us, sometimes conflicting with our schedule to meet up. He felt that Silas was always taking from him and never giving anything back, mainly because Alan had to drive him around for every hangout, as Silas did not have his driver's license. Additionally, Alan thought Silas looked fatter every year and smelled bad. This was discussed on a call with both Alan, another friend Cameron, a 19-year-old male, and me. I also made one complaint that Silas was not concise with his words. I decided not to tell Silas and let Alan tell him himself to avoid making both Alan and Silas unhappy. Fast forward a couple of days, and Alan and I were in an argument about something trivial. One of my other friends, Alex, a 19-year-old male, was siding with Alan on a group chat call. I got angry because it felt like they always took sides against me and found pleasure in antagonizing me. For example, the majority of the banter they engaged in was about me, mostly involving weird sexual jokes. While probably petty, my reasoning for my next action, which was to tell Silas that Alan was excluding him from all our hangouts on purpose, was that if Alan did not care whether or not I got angry, I might as well not care either. At least I could do some good and help Silas understand that Alan was ghosting him if Alan would not. When I texted in the group chat letting Silas know why Alan always seemed to be busy, Alan left the call and threatened to leave the group if I did not give him ownership of the group. I gave Alex ownership of the group instead as a compromise to make sure I did not abuse my power. The way the argument transpired after Alan decided to talk with Alex alone, and I talked with Silas to explain Alan's grievances. I made sure to also tell him what I said behind his back was all the Alan's previous complaints, except the fatness and stink. Silas argued that he did help Alan with stuff sometimes. Then, the argument turned on me as Alan was angry that I brought it up to Silas. My argument was that friendships required transparency. Alan disagreed and said that he had a bigger friend circle than me, which included people from another group, not related to Silas's, with whom Cameron and I had a history. Alan regularly hung out with this group, so he would know better, and accused me of only arguing to get back at him. He claimed it was about me the entire time because I was losing the previous argument. All my other friends stayed neutral during my argument with Alan, even though they agreed that they did not have a problem with Silas and that Alan was not in a stable mindset at the moment. The argument ended when Alan started making jokes, and all my other friends followed suit, eventually leading everyone to leave the call. Wow, that looks exhausting. Some people just love to stir the pot for no reason. It's amusing to see how quickly things can escalate. Sometimes it's best to just read the title and move on. Am I the jerk for allowing my child to fall off the bike? My daughter always stays in the house playing on her phone or video games. Everyone says it is a problem, but she is not a bad child. She is very smart and very social. She just graduated kindergarten with a 3rd and 4th grade math and reading level. She is not behind. She has always been very advanced. It is not like the phone is keeping her from anything, or maybe it is. She is currently on summer break, and I have been wanting her to go out and have more fun outside. I work from 9:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m. By the time I am off work, it is already 5:00 p.m. By the time I am able to do things with her, it is around 7:00 p.m. On the weekends, I try to spend time with her and take her to the park or amusement parks. She does not lack anything socially. The only thing I have noticed is she suffers from really bad anxiety. She has a huge fear of bugs, things going wrong, animals, ants crawling on the floor, and paper flying away in the wind because it might somehow hurt someone. She stays away from trees because they might fall. It is bad. It is like she thinks of the worst possible thing that could happen. For her birthday a couple of months ago, she got a bicycle. I decided to take her out. She has never really ridden a bike before, so I showed her a little bit of how to ride it. She understood quickly and was riding it perfectly fine. Then she started crying because there was a rock in her way. I told her to go around it, and she took a sharp turn, which I knew would lead her to fall. Instead of helping, I just watched. She fell and I got mad because she started freaking out. Sometimes I try to give her tough love and tell her it is okay to just get back up and get on her bike, but she has so much anxiety. She literally started freaking out, screaming her head off as if someone was killing her. She immediately freaked out to the point where the neighbors came out. I grabbed her and brought her inside. I told her to calm down and relax. She kept screaming that her knee hurt so bad and freaking out, and I was yelling at her to calm down because it was not that serious. It ended up in a big fight with my parents because they said I was being too hard on her. I knew she was crying because I had told her she could not be on her phone. Now she is back on the phone and has suddenly forgotten all about her knee. It does not hurt her anymore. Am I the asshole for letting her fall when I saw it coming? Am I the asshole for always allowing her on her phone and video games instead of having outside world activity? You didn't do the right thing. Your daughter needs less tough love and significantly more unconditional love. She's still a pretty young kid and likely learning emotional regulation, so yelling at her to calm down is only going to make her feel worse. Instead of breaking her trust, it would have been more helpful to support her and turn it into a learning moment. Am I the jerk for canceling plans with my sibling? My younger sister and I got into a heated argument yesterday. I wanted to continue watching a series that I was invested in and wanted to watch with her because I figured she would like it. However, I found that she wasn't as invested as I had hoped. Throughout the entire second episode, she scrolled on her phone, painted her nails, or did yoga, only to ask me what just happened whenever something happened on screen. I have a part-time job that I come home late from, so the only time I have available is either right after my shifts, which could end as late as 3 a.m., or on my days off, after I've completed other work. I wanted to continue watching the series last night around 11 p.m. once I finished an assignment, but it took longer than I anticipated, and I finished at 1 a.m. I still wanted to watch it then since I was looking forward to it all day. She does not work, but she had to leave for the day. She scolded me about how late it was and told me that I only ever want to watch anything when it's convenient for me. Sure, I have my schedule, but it was inconsiderate to watch a video that could get loud with our family and neighbors asleep. Plus, she was hardly in the mood anymore because she anticipated watching it before midnight. Seeing her point, I said we could just watch it the next day since I would be off anyway, and she didn't have any definitive plans, at least any that could go as late into the night. But she also refused then and angrily said it didn't matter and to just play it already. After some back and forth, I turned everything off. I saw her point, but she ruins my mood when she scolds me like a child. When she combated me about this, I suggested we just drop watching the series altogether since she didn't seem that invested anyway. She started crying when I did, and when I asked why, she told me I don't realize how hurtful the things I say are. When I asked her to elaborate, she said I dismiss everything and don't make an effort or consider when things are convenient for her. The thing is, we've already put everything off for at least a week, almost 2 now, even for the days I was off and she was free. Chances are, she doesn't even remember what happened in the last episode. I figured she didn't care that much since she lost interest in the franchise years ago. I told her if she really was invested, she could watch it in her own time and I would watch it in mine. It wasn't worth the effort if we weren't on the same page. She scowled and hasn't said a word since. Maybe I was inconsiderate, but whenever I do something she finds to be wrong, she scolds me. Our parents, friends, and even strangers have told her to watch her tone. They explain to her that she doesn't have any authority to talk to me the way she does, or that whatever her concerns could be are unfounded and unfair to lecture me over. I don't want us to stop talking over petty issues like this. Should I be the one to apologize? It seems like the sister wanted to spend time with them but lost interest in the series. She probably just wanted to be close and didn't realize the timing was inconvenient. It would be better to watch the series alone at another time and find something else to do together that they both enjoy. Try to understand her perspective and avoid getting into petty arguments over small things. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.